is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. This episode is sponsored by Georgia Cambridge, who is a pet loss counsellor. She offers a tailored service for those pet carers who are about to go through a pet bereavement or have experienced the death of a pet. Either in person, via the phone, or FaceTime, Georgia is here to help. In a safe space with complete confidentiality, a pet carer of any age can talk to her for help to live through the loss of their beloved companion. Georgia wants you to know that it is okay to grieve for our pets. In fact, it is more than okay. You can grieve over them as much as you need. Your grief is valid. You don't have to hide it away or feel embarrassed, because they are family. They are our friends and companions. We give them love, and they give love in bucket loads in return. Whatever the animal, they all mean just as much to their individual carer. Head to cambridgedoglodge.co.uk and follow the Pet Bereavement Counselling link to find out more, or follow Georgia on Facebook at Georgia Cambridge Pet Bereavement Counsellor. All of these links are in the show notes for this episode. You do not have to go through the loss of a pet alone. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are talking about starting a business when you're neurodivergent. If you were hoping that this was going to be a 12-step plan to starting a successful business, then you're going to be disappointed. But I'm going to be talking about the things we need to remember when we are becoming self-employed if we're neurodivergent. But I'm also going to start with why so many neurodivergent people are self-employed. So it's because the world of employment can be incredibly challenging if you're neurodivergent. There are confusing expectations. There are rules that we have to follow, except we don't have to follow them, and some people know when to break them and when not to break them. There's all kinds of social requirements. It's not enough just to do the job. You have to also go for drinks. You have to be sociable. If you want to progress, it's not enough just to be good at what you do. There's all kinds of other things that are expected, which again aren't necessarily clear. You feel like you're constantly being judged. You might have, God forbid, appraisals, reviews. The rejection sensitivity dysphoria is off the charts because every day, everything you do is being judged and looked at by some kind of boss or manager. The burnout that comes from constant RSD or fear of RSD, fear of rejection, is huge. There could be sensory issues in shared office spaces. The requirement to be emotionally consistent and mask all the time. We just have to be normal all the time, whatever normal means. It can be unbearable, and so many people burn out from employment and become self-employed, which is a shame because it's an enormous amount of talent that employers are losing, but such is the situation for a lot of people. So we become self-employed. But then if we're not careful, the rules that we learned in the world of employment, we can bring those with us. So we think we're going to be free and have our own business and do what we want, and we're going to be free of all this stuff that's been so painful for us. But if we're not careful, we carry a lot of it with us. So we might carry with us rules about what are normal working hours, when we should be working, what we should be wearing if we are visible to our clients or our network, expectations of ourselves, ways we're expected to behave, ways we think our clients and our referrers expect us to behave. We end up networking in places where we feel uncomfortable, probably because we're just used to feeling uncomfortable in a working environment, so we think that's how it has to be. We have rules about being professional, again, whatever that word means. which might mean that we continue to do things that make us uncomfortable. We feel we have to show up in a particular way. So we're often still trapped in all kinds of expectations that we were trying to get away from, but we've brought them with us. So that is my first kind of no, no, we are not doing that. In fact, we haven't had one for a while. Let's have a little mindset block alert in this episode. When you are your own boss, you do not therefore have to start behaving like a traditional boss, or like your old boss, or like a terrible boss. You can start behaving like the boss you actually need. Really important thing to remember. Otherwise, we just bring the employed world with us and we continue to make life hard for ourselves. So, when starting a business, when you are neurodivergent, especially if you're autistic and you're a rule follower, remember, you now make the rules. All of them. Not just when it comes to pricing or what you're going to call your product or what colour your logo is going to be. All of the rules. You can dress how you want. You can work when you want. You can show up how you want. The values of your business are your choice. The promises you make to your customers are up to you. The expectations you set for yourself and the expectations you want to meet, they are your choice. That kind of freedom can feel terrifying, but it is freedom. And it means that you can create something that actually works for you. You've become self-employed. Now is the time to build a business and a life that actually works for you. Now, what that looks like is going to be completely different for everybody. So you might have really clear ideas about the kind of sensory things that you need, where you want to be working, the kind of environment. But have you thought about how you want to be marketing yourself? Yes, you are going to have to do some form of marketing if you have a business, but what feels comfortable? You don't have to follow the rules. Really, the only rules you need to follow are the rules about paying taxes, which unfortunately does have to happen. But you can do things in whatever way you want to. One thing I would say that is crucial is to find your people. If you find yourself networking and thinking, my God, this is just like being at my old job, you're at the wrong networking events. There are networking events of all types, all shapes and sizes for all kinds of different people, and there are certainly ones that are either for neurodivergent people or welcome and understand neurodivergent people. If you are networking and you feel horribly uncomfortable, that is not because you are terrible at networking or that you need to learn to do it better. It's because you're doing it in the wrong place. Networking should feel like meeting up with your friends. And I don't mean in a neurotypical way. I mean the way that you meet up with your friends. If you are the kind of person who, as many of us are, hates small talk, just wants the big conversations, that is absolutely something you can find at the right networking events. So find your people. And if you're not feeling comfortable, keep looking in different places until you do. And also think about what makes you comfortable. You know, for some of us, we want to be very well looked after, and we deserve to be. So think about reaching out to the people who run these events and saying, look, you know, I'm a bit concerned. I want to get there early. Can I meet you beforehand? I could do with you just checking in with me. I could do with you introducing me to people. Whatever it is you need. If people are running networking events, they should be looking to make you comfortable and happy. Or are you like me and you're the most comfortable when you're actually running the thing? In which case, offer to help host networking events, start some networking events. There are opportunities for you to be the one in control if that is your comfort zone. And that can be a fantastic way to grow a business if you are the host or if you start something new for people. And then lean in to being neurodivergent. You don't have to hide it. If you did have to hide it in the employed world, or if it made people uncomfortable or people didn't understand, you don't have to hide it anymore. You can lean into it, talk about it, joke about it, use it in your marketing, however you're comfortable, but show up as yourself. Because firstly, that means that the people who show up for you are going to be the right people and are not going to be people who find neurodivergence weird or uncomfortable or say the wrong and stupid things. But also, it's going to help you to find clients who really need you. Because you will find clients who are also neurodivergent and need someone they can trust. And think about this from your own point of view. If you are ND and life is difficult and you're desperately trying to find places you feel comfortable, when you find someone to work with in any field that you really trust and feel comfortable with, how loyal are you to that person? We're very loyal, aren't we? We do not let those people go. So that's what you need to find, is those clients who really need you, who really need someone they can trust, and they will stay very loyal to your business. So lean into it. Especially if you have ADHD and struggle with focus and struggle with finishing things, look into getting a virtual assistant. That can be a game changer for all business owners, but especially if they're neurodivergent. Being self-employed does not mean we have to do it all alone. Absolutely not. What it means is that we get to choose the team around us. Everything can be outsourced. Marketing, finance, IT, just day-to-day admin, helping you find your vision. There are self-employed people who can help you with all of these things, including me as a life coach. I can certainly help you with the vision of where you're going and how you're going to get there. So you can outsource as much as you want, obviously as much as you can afford, but it is always worth having it in the back of your mind that the things that you find difficult, you can give to somebody else. Because what that does is it builds up a team around you so you don't feel so alone and so you feel supported, but also it avoids burnout, because none of us can do it all by ourselves. But again, burnout is more prevalent amongst neurodivergent people, and we want to avoid that. We want to build a business that is sustainable, that we can run for many years to come, if that's your vision. And the way to do that is to make sure we have support. Now, if you are still employed and you're listening to this episode because you're thinking, I'd love to run a business, but not sure if I can yet or I'm ready. Firstly, I would say go for it, but secondly, ask for accommodations in your workplace. Now, I know there are going to be some workplaces that are rubbish at this stuff, but that is changing. Things are changing. It is getting more and more widely recognized that all kinds of people need accommodations at work, including those of us who are neurodivergent. You do not have to have a diagnosis in order to ask for accommodations. That is really important to remember. If you are on LinkedIn, I'm sure this is true of all social media platforms, but if you're on LinkedIn, there are loads of people talking about how to create accommodations in the workplace. There are consultants who do this for a living who are talking about it on LinkedIn. Find out what other businesses are doing. Find out what is seen as reasonable, because there might be all kinds of things you can ask for which you had no idea was even reasonable to ask for. So you don't have to become self-employed, or you don't have to be miserable while you're thinking about becoming self-employed. It might be that you can change things where you work so that it's less overwhelming and less difficult. But when we become self-employed, when we're neurodivergent, one of the biggest challenges can be having self-belief, belief that we can do it. Belief in our products, belief in our services, belief in our ability to market, whatever it might be. And the reason for that is because we've been taught to believe that we're a problem. In the employed space, in our previous work, we were taught to believe we're a problem, which is why we were masking and having to try and fit in, etc., etc. So remember this. We are only a problem in environments that are not suitable for us. In fact, it was the environment that was the problem, not you. So when you are self-employed, make an environment, build yourself an environment that is suitable for you, and then you will thrive. So there is no need to struggle with self-belief because you are not a problem. The environment was the problem. The environment is now under your control. And that is one of the beautiful things about being our own boss. So if you are starting a business when you are neurodivergent, make sure you are focusing on how to do it in a way that really works for you. Don't worry about the rules and what everybody else is doing, because your people will find you and will really love the way you are doing things. If it works for you, it's likely to work for them. So go in with confidence and build a business that really suits you. And that is showing ourselves excessive kindness as business owners. And that is how we squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of business and life. Speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to find out how to work with me or how to get your hands on a copy of my book, you can find all of those links in the info for this episode. My huge thanks to Stephanie Ward of the Spicy Brain Collective for sponsoring the whole of this season of the No Bullshit Guide to a Happier Life. You can also find out more about Steph's collective for neurodivergent business owners via the links in the episode info. See you next time.